I hope my voice projects to you. If not, maybe you have to sit up closer, because this is about as loud as I can get. It's a privilege this morning to be here and addressing all of you, and I'm going to spend about a good half hour with you, and I hope that it's very productive, because some of the things I'm going to show is not from something that you would read in the book. A lot of things has been, well, let's say that I have been a student of Olympic weightlifting for the past 60 years. So I'm in that upper age bracket. But I've learned things all the time. And I'm bringing some things to you that is not from the PhD side. It's all practical things. I've been to 3 Olympics. I've been to actually a total of 30 World Championship Olympics. That dates back to 1952. And I've been to 3 Olympics as a competitor, 3 as a coach, and 3 as an official. So I've been to 9 Olympics in all. You might say I had the 10th Olympics. I went to the Nagano Olympics to help with the American team get prepared and all that. But that's my background. And my sole background, I have coached professionally for 7 years. 3 years in Mexico City, in Mexico, for the Mexico Olympics. I was their national and Olympic coach. And then 4 years for West Germany. So I had 7 years of time of coaching. And I've learned a lot of things. One, I've learned that when you teach anybody, you better know a little bit about their background. Otherwise, you might be going against their tradition. You may not know that. When I went to Mexico, I thought I knew a lot about weightlifting because I had already been in the weightlifting international scene for about 12 years. But I learned that I can't coach the Mexican like I do an American. Because if I said, you guys have to train twice as hard as these Europeans because you have to catch up to them, they'll say, I don't care, I'd rather go back to the farm. So you can't stress that kind of thing to them. You gotta urge them or help them coast along and say, this is the way you go about doing it. And basically, I had everything written down on the blackboard for them. When each lifter came in, they knew what they had to do. It was easier for me to lay out a chart and all that and have them follow it. Okay, now, after 3 years of coaching in Mexico, you'd think that, man, I got a good background on coaching. I go to West Germany. The Germans are completely different. I'll give you an example. If I was a national coach in Germany and they have training quarters all over Germany now. In Mexico, no. Everybody came to Mexico City. In Germany, they're all well-to-do and all that. They've been establishing weightlifting for a long time, so they have it all over Germany. So I have to drive to the place. So it's completely different. They don't come to me, I go to them. But the other part is, if I drove up in a Volkswagen, they think, here's the national coach coming in a Volkswagen. But if you drive up in a Mercedes, or if you drive up more on a BMW, wow, their expectation is greater right away. Now, if you come out of the BMW and you had your safety belt on, forget it, you lost your respect. If you got a scar on your face, that's even better. But you see the difference. You could teach in one country a certain way, but you can't do the same thing in another country. And I learned that from going around and talking to the different coaches. And in Germany, each area has their own coach. And they're very protective of their lifters. They don't want outsiders to come in and take the lifter away. So you gotta work with them. So it becomes completely different. So the theory side is easy, but the practical side becomes completely different. And that's where experience comes in. And I've had about 60 years of experience. And so this is what I am going to project to you today. Even in weightlifting, I'm not talking about other sports. I'm talking about Olympic weightlifting, overhead thing. This thing that I'm going to give you is something, you know, I used to have big photographs and all that mounted, and I used to hold it up. I found out that is the 20th century, this is the 21st century. And so I had a friend of mine made this PowerPoint for me last year. And I find it so much easier than carrying all those big pictures and all that. I have a few people here that were with me in Mexico City, Mexico rather, giving that presentation before. But anyway, so I'm going to give a little presentation here. But I have also a person that is going to, you know, on the flyer that's outside, it says, I'm going to demonstrate. Well, you can see I'm not in no condition to demonstrate. So I do have someone here that will help me, presentation. And, you know, I want her to give her little background so you understand who you're seeing.
Hi, my name is Carissa Gump. I am a member of the 2008 Olympic weightlifting team. I competed in Beijing. I've also been competing for about 13 years, not nearly as long as Mr. Kano, but 13 years experience. I'm still learning every day. It's something that takes a lot of time. And I'm just very honored to be working with Mr. Kono.
Basic applied principles. You have to follow these things if you want to do Olympic lifting. Now, Olympic lifting is quite different from powerlifting. Powerlifting, it's a person lifting heavy weights in a very basic movement like squatting, bench pressing, and deadlift. And they would have a gathering of people around, for one thing, for safety in case you get stuck in all that. But Olympic lifting is completely different. You're on a platform all by yourself, nobody around you. And so the idea of lifting is completely different. You're focused, you have to be concentrating on what you're gonna do. And so that means you have certain rules and regulations that you should be following if you wanna get the maximum lifting ability. Okay, notice that you see the radiation of the circles from here. I say this is where the power comes from. If there is no hip involvement in any of your movement, you have no power. Now, if you take, say, golfing, what do you see? You see the hip go from one side to the other. Baseball swinging, the bat, same thing. You step, the hip's got to be moving. You throw in a punch, if it's a left jab, it's okay, but the moment you get the right cross in, your hip got to move. If the hip isn't there, you have no power. The other day I was looking at a demonstration of nail driving into a board. You know, when you whack it down like this, if it's just the shoulders and arm moving, you don't get the power. The hip's got to be there. Everything generates from the hip. So weightlifting is the same thing. If the hip doesn't move, you have no power. So that's the first basic rule. Think that you have power here. Throwing a punch, swinging a bat, anything. Hips got to come into action. If not, you got the speed, but there's no power behind it. Weightlifting, you start off by moving the hip. That next one. Okay. The other thing is, in weightlifting, you have a narrow corridor where the power gotta be. Anything outside of that area, you lose power. Let's say you're lifting 400 pounds and you weigh 200 pounds. And the weight travels out there. You're not gonna be pulling 400 pounds out there. You're gonna have to move up to where the bar is, because that's where the weight is. So if you want to control the weight, you have to have it within that narrow lane that you have, right there, up and down. And so the whole area is between